if your energy is low, you say, you know, I guess I'm really excited to share with you. I can show you an amazing way to create wealth. How are they going to react to that?
No reaction.
No reaction. They go, okay, yeah, right. Okay. That's why I'm telling you, everything starts with what you believe. If we get your belief and to where you know you can bring this, now I want you to get excited as you go through this. Now, Serenas, can we roll this so everybody can see the numbers? Okay. Now, here's the conversation. So you're talking, so there's only one reason to buy real estate. Here's the one reason: it's financial. Real estate creates wealth at a level that no other asset or investment can. Period. Now they're going to look at you and go, most aren't going to say anything. Now, in their mind, they may say that's BS, or especially someone that, because financial planners believe that. Financial planners believe that it's all about the stock market. What I love is when I get into these conversations with financial planners and I prove otherwise. Now, but let's say in their mind, they're looking at you going, okay, so, you know, and if you say this with conviction, with excitement, and say, you know, we all want to know the fastest, safest way to become rich. And I'm going to tell you, the first part is, first, I'm going to prove to you that it is real estate. It is absolutely, positively, not just the fastest, but it is also the safest. I want you to understand, and I will prove and educate you on why that is fact. The second part is, once you understand that, because I don't expect you to believe me, I don't expect you to trust me, because you don't know me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that is a fact. Now once you understand that, then the next step is, people lose money in real estate too, right?
Yes.
People may lose money. So here's my point. Your expertise is important. It's not that simple. You can't just say, okay, real estate's the fastest, safest way to become rich, and it's a game over. And they're going to be rich. It doesn't work that way, right?
Right.
They need an expert real estate wealth advisor to guide them through the process for their entire life. So, but we got to get them to understand and trust you that you have the path to the fastest and safest way to be rich. Now, I'm going to show you this. I'm going to walk you through the numbers here. But I also know my memory, and I'm going to forget. So, I want to make sure before I leave here, when we get done with this, I want you to know why. I want you to know mathematically what is going on why real estate is the fastest way to create wealth. And I want you to know why real estate is the safest. Now, I want you to think about it. If you can prove, beyond a shadow of a doubt, to any CPA or financial planner that real estate is the fastest and the safest, where does that put you as far as your value? Really high, right? Okay, I'm going to show you how to prove that in a minute. But here's how we get into the conversation. So you ask why buy real estate? Only one reason: financial. It's the fastest, safest way to create wealth. Let me show you an example of what I'm talking about. See, real estate has what I call an unfair advantage over every other asset, and it's really the secret sauce to why real estate is the best asset. And here's what that secret sauce is. It's the utility value. Now here's what's great about this conversation. It's easy to understand. It's specific to one point. What's the point? Real estate has a utility value. No other asset has that. You can invest in your 401k, which is going to go in stocks, but what can you use those stocks for? Nothing. You can get a stock certificate, right? Put it in a file, use it for wallpaper, but there is no utility. You cannot use it for anything. But with real estate, you have, now and here's what I want you to do. Take some note. You've got to get this conversation down. This one conversation is going to create appointment after appointment after appointment for you. So we want to master the conversation. So the conversation is that real estate has a utility value. stocks, you have a stock certificate. With real estate, what do you get? You get land, and what else?
Structure.
You get a structure. The land and the structure is the same as the stock certificate. Basically the same, as far as from the definition, you say, okay, I've invested my money into stocks, I got a stock certificate. I invested my money in real estate, I got a land and structure, right? But because there's land and a structure, now we can use it. If we invest in silver, gold, stocks, bonds, or mutual funds, or anything else, we cannot use it. That utility value is worth money. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Anything you can use is worth money. Did we just prove that real estate has utility value?
Yes.
Now, the question is, how much is it worth? And here's the answer. The short answer is, that utility value is worth millions of dollars to you in your lifetime. And let me show you an example. So in the first column, stock and rent. If someone was to put $120,000 in the stock market and get 8%, now 8% is a phenomenal return over 30 years. Almost nobody gets 8% over 30 years. But we're going to say 8%. So we're slanting the deck in favor of the stock market. But because they can't live in their stocks, they got to live someplace. They're not going to put 120 grand in stocks and be homeless, right? So we're going to rent. So now instead of rent, let's say a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, they're paying $3,000 a month. Annual rent increases are 4% a year. Now rents statewide have averaged 4.7% in California for the past 30 years. Now, Southern California, LA, Orange County is even better than that, particularly over the past 6 or 7 years. But we're only using 4%, conservative number. In 30 years, that stock portfolio is worth $1,207,000. I'm telling you, a financial planner or stockbroker would say, I got you 8%, turn 120 into $1.2 million. It's grown basically tenfold, right? And they would beat their chest saying, look what a stud I am. But they would have paid $2 million in rent over 30 years. So financially, because stocks do not have the utility, they had to pay for it, right? So they actually went backwards $811,000 financially. This is why the number one challenge and the number one reason people are unable to retire is they rent. Now, if you're talking to renters, you need to have this conversation, right? Number one reason most people can't retire is they rent. And here's the dynamic to that, just so you know, is that when you're a senior, when you're 60, 65, 70 years old, do you want your bills to be high or low?
Low.
As low as possible, right? When you're 60, 65 years after 30, 35, 40 years, where's your rent going to be?
Same or either higher.
Higher.
It's going to be at its highest point. You know, when I moved out of my parents' house, when I was 18 years old, I rented an apartment with a high school buddy, and our rent was $315 a month for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. $315. And we had to move because we couldn't afford it. Now, my point to that is, you know, when I was 18 and it was $315 a month, that place today is renting for about $2,200 a month.
Easy.
Now, I wouldn't have believed if somebody would have said $315 is going to become $2,200, right? So today, when you're talking to someone, if someone is paying $2,000 a month for rent, do you think they're going to believe that that rent's going to be $6,000?
No.
They don't see it in their mind, but that's what's going to happen, and that's why we create these calculators. All right, but that's the first column. Now, let's take a look. We're going to quantify what the utility value is worth to someone. They put $120,000, buy a $600,000 property, 20% down. At only 5%. And by the way, what I brought you today is from California Association of Realtors, you'll see the historical data on property value appreciation for the past 50 years. The average appreciation rate is 7.3%. We're only using 5. So we're using a very low number. Your payment, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance is $32.79. In 30 years, look what the property's worth at only 5%. $2.5 million. Reality is it's going to be worth more than that, but we're only going 5%. $2.5 million. So right there, it's double the stock, right? Second is after paying all your mortgage payments and improvements on the house, you know, replacing carpet, paint and all that, you have a net gain of $1,322,000. What's the difference between negative $800,000 and 1.3 million? 2.1 million basically, right? The utility value is worth how much? $2.1 million. How many people know that? How many realtors know that? How many consumers know that? They don't know it. How many financial planners know it? They don't know it. The financial planners don't want to know it. Now, you turn that house into a rental. Now here's when you're talking to someone that owns a property. If you have a farm or people in your database that own, keep in mind, only 10% of the people own investment real estate. Which, I mean, think about this. I mean, it's really incredible to think about. Only 10% own investment real estate. 90% either rent. You got about 50% that rent, and the other 40% only own their home, and that 40% is relying on a 401k or IRA. We show and say, look, you turn your house into a rental. Same numbers on the top. We get to the bottom, still have a $2.5 million asset. Here's their principal and interest, but what we've done is we have sold the utility value to someone, right? We turned it to a rental, we basically sold it by renting it to them, right? That utility value, we've sold it to someone through a lease. Over 30 years, it's $2 million. Look what our net gain is. After all expense, over $3 million. It's almost triple the stock market. And these are super conservative numbers. Now we have another presentation. It's recorded, you can access it, but this presentation is how to triple your 401k retirement income. Now we have a flyer, in fact, let's go through they have a flyer, right? Okay, we have,
Well, they have all the flags, but they have the list of all of them.
okay, yeah, that's right. Here's, I want you to look at this page here. Where it says how to make more sales by creating need and value. Here's our Wealth Academy strategies. These are the 5 strategies that we have in presentations. They're educational presentations. Now, 1, why real estate blows away the stock market. 2, why renting is a financial disaster. How to retire without saving money. Turn your equity into income. And how to triple your 401k income. Now, with these strategies, here's why we have the different strategies. It's to identify with different demographic groups. What I've learned about, we're always doing Facebook ads and testing different messages. And one of the things that was shocking to me is the message of how to retire without saving money. That message is really powerful. It resonates with a lot of people. But you know who it resonates most powerfully with? What age group?
Older.
Closer to retirement.
Older.
Yeah.
Here's what's shocking to me. Is what I found is about 90% of the people, the word retire does not resonate with them until they're 50 plus. Now, I don't get that, but that's the fact. When they're 52, 53 years old, it's like, oh God, guess what? I never thought it was going to happen, but it's happening. And now it's like, okay, I better do something. So, this message of how to retire without saving money, here's my point to that, is if you're marketing your farm, just be aware that the 30-year-olds, and I'd say 45 down, doesn't resonate with 90% of them. That's why I created this, why real estate blows away the stock market. Millennials, younger people, you know what resonates with them? Get rich fast.
YouTube stars.
They want to get rich fast. They want to know, hey, what's the fastest way to get rich? So we have these strategies. Now, behind that, you'll see the flyers, why renting is a financial disaster, why buy real estate. So we brought these 2. We have a marketing piece for each one of these strategies. But I've just brought you these 2 because that's all we have time for. But these 2, now here's the other part to these flyers. These are not flyers. I mean, you can print them and copy, and distribute them all over your farm or whatever if you want. But what these are really designed for is these are one-page presentations. Now, one of the agents that's really doing a fantastic job with the Wealth Academy is, we have a gal, you'll expect, Sierra's on one of these flyers. Yeah, Sierra's on the Why Renting. Here's what Sierra did. She took this flyer over to Staples and blew it up to a poster size. So it's about probably this wide, about 3 feet tall. And she has a stand, and she does open houses. And so she has that stand, and it's right by the door when people walk in. And she has this why buy real estate conversation that I just shared with you down to a science. She goes through this exact conversation. Welcome to my open house, it's great to have you. By the way, why are you interested in buying real estate? They say whatever they're going to say. You say, let me share with you about real estate. There's really only one reason to buy real estate, and that reason is financial. But most people don't understand the financial components to real estate. I'm not, now, you see I'm changing it because I'm telling you what Sierra says, how she changed it and made it her own, right? What she says, I'm not a typical agent. What I am is a real estate wealth advisor. Most agents just sell real estate. What I do is also I'm a real estate wealth advisor. Real estate is the fastest, safest way to become wealthy. Let me show you why real estate is the fastest, safest way. And then she gets into the PowerPoint, right? Or then she gets into this flyer, this big poster, and walks through that conversation. And here's what happens. These people are blown away. The utility value is worth millions of dollars to you. Now, do you think if that person goes to 10 open houses over a couple weekends and talks to 10 different agents, they're going to hear this again from anybody else? Nothing even close to it. So here's what's happened. One, it's important to be different, but you could be different weird too, right? So, right? So you want to be different, but you want to bring value. Now, what goes on in a consumer's mind when you just enlighten them that the utility value is worth millions of dollars? What do they think about your knowledge level? Goes through the roof, right?
Unique.
Goes through the roof. So all of a sudden, you're different. You're bringing a value. And all of a sudden, their view of you goes from, here's another salesperson that's going to try to give me the hard close, to here's someone that actually knows something. And now we want to go into the next level. Say, what we should do is let's sit down and talk about how we can create wealth. All right, now we're running out of time here, but I want to share with you. I want to make sure that you guys are absolutely crystal clear on why real estate is the fastest and the safest way to wealth.
Excuse me, Mark. I have a question.
Sure.
Go here. Why buy real estate? I see that there's a maintenance operating expense of $90,000.
Now that's on your home.
Exactly. So the housing expense, I'm assuming, is PITI.
Yes, the 30-year housing expense, that's correct.
Okay, so what is the operating expense?
The 90,000 is basically we took a percentage, and basically it's carpet and paint.
Carpet and paint.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So
It's just basic cleanup. It's not like remodeling your house or new kitchen or any of that.
okay. So it jumps substantially to $403,000 when you're renting it.
Well, here's what we put in there. We put some property management expenses in there, and I think that number is about a 20% number as a percent.
Taxes and insurance.
Yeah, taxes and insurance as well.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right, now, real estate, and we have a presentation, here's why real estate's the fastest way to create wealth, is that you can literally prove to someone, and we have a flyer, and we have the whole presentation, and we can come back and do this again, and I can show you how to prove mathematically why real estate, it's about 3.5 to 4 times faster than the stock market to grow wealth. Now I want you to wrap your mind around that as your value. If you can prove to people that you can help them to grow their wealth more than triple the stock market, is that valuable? Of course. It's huge, right? Here's why. Okay, here's the math. Here's why that's true. Let's just look at, use these scenarios, okay? Let's look at column 1 and column 3, all right? Column one, they buy this, they have 120 grand in the stock market, right? And you can see at 8%, it turns out to be $1.2 million, okay? Now let's look at the rental on the far right. Someone buys a property for 600 grand, 20% down, we're gonna say, that with 20% you can buy non-owner occupied, right? They buy non-owner occupied, they turn it into a rental, and in 30 years, this doesn't include tax benefits, okay? And I made the expenses a little bit on the high side. The reality is they're not gonna get 8%. You know what they're gonna get? It's more like 4.5, maybe 5 if they're lucky. This number here is gonna be more like about 800 grand, okay? Now, in this, at 5%, they're $2.5 million asset. But look at the income, now, the income that they're creating, see, we started out house at 3,000, right? In rental income. In 30 years, is it still gonna be 3,000?
Nope.
No.
No way. No way. In fact, you wanna go on the tools and we can show them that real quick? Okay. We'll show you what the rent's gonna be in 30 years. Okay, we'll run that number.
Before you ended, on the last consumer presentation, there was a survey sheet at the end. And I don't know if you have time to go over that real quick. It's like a follow-up
For the agents to fill out?
for that you talk to the consumer.
Oh, yeah, I don't think we have one. Do you have one?
Let me see if you
You
have
have
it.
one, okay. All right, so you can see 3,000, 4% in 30 years, and so what? Look at 97.30, okay? So if we take that stock portfolio,
You wanna go back to the flyer?
yeah. So you're looking at 9,000 a month in income, even after expenses, you're probably gonna be somewhere around $7,500. And that's at 20%. If it's a single family, your vacancy factor in Southern California is like next to nothing nowadays, You're gonna have a much bigger number. So, but here's the thing that's important to understand is, why did you create so much more income and wealth? And here's the answer. You started at 120,000 here, right? Where'd you start out on the property as far as asset value?
600,000.
600. So look at that, it's 5 times bigger, right? So you started here, okay? So why were you able to start at 600,000 and over here it had to be only 120? What's the difference? Why? It's the loan, right? The mortgage.
Finance.
So we call that leverage, right? So the answer is, the reason it's the fastest is the first part, it's a 2-part answer. First part is you're able to secure a much bigger asset. So you have a $600,000 starting point. If you start out at 600,000, someone else starts out at 120,000, who's gonna win that race? Yeah, 600,000, right? So that's the first part, is the leverage factor, okay? But to make it even better, is if you bought a $600,000 property with 120 grand and then you rented it and the tenant paid the mortgage, the PITI and all your expenses for the next 30 years and paid it off for you, what did the property really cost you?
Nothing.
Well, just your down payment.
$120.
Just the down payment, right? So what that means is you basically got a $600,000 asset for 120 grand. What other asset can you buy for $600,000 for 120? None. Why can you do it with real estate? Utility value, right? So what's happening is 2 amazing things are happening. Is you're compounding a bigger asset, right? 600,000 over 120, and you're compounding a bigger income starting point. So you're starting at a much higher level in both cases, right? And so you're starting out greater asset, greater income level. It's growing, above the inflation cost, and because of the utility value, the loan is getting paid off. This is why financial planners, when we first started, I was inviting financial planners to our consumer events, trying to partner with them. Guess what happened when I showed them this? Guess how many wanted to partner? 0. 0. They don't want any part of this. Why do they not want any part of it?
They can't make commissions off of continually selling
Can't
stocks.
compete with you. Can't compete with you. Okay. Now, here's what I want to close with. I want you guys to wrap your mind around, okay? Financial planners control 90% of the market share when it comes to investing. Realtors control 10%. But they can't compete with you. So why are they dominating the market share?
Their belief. Or people's belief.
It's what they believe, what the consumers believe. Are they right? They're wrong. Financial planners are wrong, and so are the consumers. But you know what, to make an amazing situation even worse is what do the realtors believe? Do the realtors believe financial planners? Do they believe in financial planners, or do they believe in realtors when it comes to wealth? Most realtors believe in financial planners. The percentage of realtors that own investment real estate is no different than the masses. I mean, I don't know what percentage of realtors rent, but it's a big percentage. It's a big percentage. Do you have a question?
No, I would, no, not really a question, just a comment,
Yeah.
something that just,
Yeah.
yeah.
But see, my point is I'm telling you, it all starts with belief. You can bring amazing life-altering value. So now we answered the fastest, right? Now, here's why it's the safest. And I don't have this slide, it's in the presentation, but here's why it's the safest. And when you watch that presentation, I talk about this. If you go to that presentation of why real estate blows away the stock market, here's why it's the safest. Is that when you create, to create financial security and ultimately retirement, it's not about the asset value. Asset value, everybody thinks it's all about the asset value, but it's really not. You know what it's really about? How much income's coming in. It's all about the income. How much income do you have coming in? Right? The monthly income pays the bills, right? Okay, real estate is the only asset that operates on two supply and demand components. Supply and demand, everybody knows, as the demand goes up, prices go up, right? Here are the two supply and demand components. The first supply and demand component is the demand to buy real estate. Now, has the demand to buy real estate over the last 5 years been good?
Yes.
And what's it done to prices?
Going up.
Pushed them up, right? Okay. Second supply demand component is for the utility or to live in them. Okay? And meaning we're talking about renters, all right? Now, has the demand for rent to rent houses been good the last 5 or 6 years?
Yes.
Yeah, rents have skyrocketed, right? Now, in 2008, 2009, we had the financial meltdown, basically, and the fear level went through the roof. The fear level went through the roof. The stock market dropped 50 to 60%, depending on what you invested in. And property values dropped 40 to 60%, depending on where you were at. But let's just say, hypothetically, you had $1 million in the stock market, and it drops to $500,000. Guess what happened to your retirement income? It went in half. It got cut in half. But let's say you had a triplex worth $1 million that dropped in value to $500,000, and you own that property, and you have 3 tenants in there that are paying you, let's say, I don't know, $1,500 a month each. It's $4,500 a month. How many landlords do you think called up their tenants and said, I know we're in a tough time, economy's really bad, property values are down. I think I should cut your rent in half. How many landlords do you make that phone call? If you look at the charts, and I have that in that presentation, rents actually went up in 2008, 2009. Why did rents go up?
Demand, because people are losing
Demand. Demand went up, right? Why did demand go up? Because they were losing their homes, right? They had a choice. I lost my house,